Hey, friends, welcome to the As You Go Network. My name is Joshua Brown, the pressure washing pastor, and today we have an incredible guest that's going to share their story on starting a side hustle and turning it into a full blown thriving business inside the trades. And if you've been trying to figure out what type of business you want to start and scale, I want you to stick around for the very end. I'm going to invite you to a free live event where you can hear of 20 businesses that you can start today, and whether or not your story, your skills, and your proximity, and when we use the word proximity, your location makes sense for that business. Stick around to the very end and we'll get into it then. But for now, let's get into the show. Brandon, welcome out.
Joshua, I'm blessed and honored to be here. Thank you so much for the invite.
No, well, let's jump right in. Before, before we went live, you were sharing with me a little bit of motivation, and it might be helpful for anybody that's thinking about starting a side hustle in the trades or scaling a business in the trades. Would you mind sharing with me your motivation for helping other people start or scale their own business?
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, I've kind of devoted my life to helping the person that I used to be. The shoes that I used to fill is kind of what these solutions do here. And all of that came about from a life changing, very traumatic situation where I actually lost my brother when I was in third year of college, and he was tragically lost one night in a car accident.
Sorry.
So going through such a horrific and life-changing situation gave me a new perspective on life. And ultimately coming out the other end, it gave me the perspective that we're only here for a brief time, and time is the most precious asset we have on this earth, and we want to make the most of it. And, through these businesses that I now have, post exit from my home service business, I'm trying to help others appreciate their time on earth more.
Wow, that's so good. Thank you for sharing your story, and I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Um, you mentioned that you actually sold a home service business. Did you start it and scale it?
Yeah, literally, I was in my first year of college in business school, and we started from humble beginnings. Like, we're talking like a mom's borrowed minivan. We had a ladder that wasn't even on like a proper roof rack, and we like strapped it down, and we photocopied our first batch of 100 flyers at his church, and boom, we were in business. Our needs were few because we only had a few months of summer before second semester kicked off. And I started exterior cleaning home service business. And through 15 years of grinding and scaling and growing that business, we got to the point of 3 different locations, and we would complete 2,500 jobs a year. We go from 2 technicians in February to 32 technicians by May every single year. That was our constant hiring plan. And in 2023, I exited from that company.
And so you ended up starting a side hustle as an exterior service cleaner, and you scaled it to a place of being able to sell it and exit from it. A lot of individuals that might be listening today have started a business, but they've gotten stuck. Maybe they're in the truck day to day and they're listening. They're wanting to know, hey, Brandon, what can you teach me to help me break free from being inside the day to day operations?
Yeah, it's a tough thing, right? Because the gravity of the fires and the pull to like go do the thing is so real. And we experience that all the time. I think what it comes down to is you have to spell out a plan, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but in that plan you have to figure out what are we pursuing and what is the structure that we want to try and inch our way towards. And if you don't have that conceptualization or that thought, you get left with all the hats, and you get to deal with all the fires and all the sales calls and all the callbacks and all the estimating and like the follow-up. You get to do it all with no plan and no design. So I think spelling out what does the plan look like, and then reverse engineering a path to get there is really the quick and the dirty way to go about it.
And why can't solo entrepreneurs or guys that are stuck in a truck, why can't they just see and be able to say what the path is?
I think it's number one, it's specific to them and their situation. I think we've kind of been brought up in a society where almost on a global schedule, we say more is better, and you want to do more sales, and that's just what everyone should want. And I'm here to say that that's not universal. It might be you want more time freedom, and you're okay having like a healthy but still on the more modest size of income, or maybe you need more time for your faith, or your more time for your family, your health, like whatever that priority wants to be or set of priorities is up to you, and that's deeply specific. But I don't think it's necessarily only the bottom line or the top revenue figure that should be the only consideration.
Yeah, because we know everybody wants to work themselves out of the truck, but there's things inside our minds that may get us stuck. I didn't know if you noticed certain beliefs or certain behaviors that just kept people there.
Yeah, 100%. I think at the end of the day, entrepreneurship's kind of funny, right? Like we're all just trying to figure it out on the fly. And I think sometimes when you look over to the next guy or gal, it almost appears like they were destined for this or they were trained for this. We're like, no, they're just doing the same thing as what we're doing. And at the end of the day, you got to just kind of take the bull by the horns and you got to make the most of it is what it comes down to. So I guess in answer to your question, that feeling that you're not worthy, or that you don't have the training, you're not owed this sort of position or higher level impact or higher level business. um I think that's something that plagues a lot of people, that inner speak.
Yeah, and that's what I would try to pull out from anybody that might be listening is that the lies that we tell ourselves, we end up believing them, and a lie believed functions as truth even when it's a lie. And so it's really understanding that we all have value despite the lies we believe about ourselves or about others. So I appreciate you pulling that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
love
know.
what you just said. Like your perception is your reality, and it's that simple.
Yeah. And if we just hang out for a second, it's not true. The truth is each one of us have equal value,
Mhm.
period. There is no one that's any better or deserves any better or you deserve any less than anybody else. We are all equal inside of this value. So just getting this belief to be a belief. And Brennan, I don't know what your story is, but with my story, when I was young, I didn't believe I had enough value to apply to work for McDonald's.
Sure.
I honestly thought only the rich kids work at McDonald's because their little hiring board said 401k, 2 weeks paid vacation. I'm like, yeah, that's not meant for me. And so I went and worked for KFC. So, and I look back at it now and it all came down to I grew up in a poverty mindset, not believing I had any value. And if we have any listeners, I want you to know that you've got value. I noticed that, behind you, there are several brands.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to maybe get into some of the businesses that you have started from your cell that helps other trades business owners solve problems in their field. Would you mind just going through them and sharing a little bit about them?
Yeah, and the beauty here is I built these almost for myself first, almost on a selfish basis, because I felt like there was a need and there was a pinch point or there was needless stress or like a gap. So that's where they kind of all first came from, having been in the trenches and in the truck and trying to fight the good fight myself. So real quick here. So up at the top, we have Hourly IQ. It does dashboards for the home services. So it plugs right into House Call Pro and to Jobber, and it gives you the like real world, super clear information that you need to make decisions every day in your home service business. I think the softwares that we use as CRMs for our businesses, they're impressive and they're powerful, but they're not always designed by people exactly like us or that know of the true struggles that we go through every day. And I'm trying to bridge the gap with Hourly IQ, simple capacity planning, sales planning, goal planning, stuff like that can pipe right over from your CRM and give you the actionable information.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's a sexy dashboard at that. It's actually something you can see and understand.
yeah.
What are the five, If there were 5 things we were looking at on your dashboard on Hourly, what are the 5 things you're going to see really quickly if someone were to check out Hourly IQ?
Yeah. So the big pillars are capacity. That's the amount of work that you could potentially do. And so many of us, we don't realize how much money we're losing by not filling capacity. If you have an extra job that you could have done today and that doesn't get filled, all of a sudden you're almost like writing away a check of 200 or 500 or $800 because of that missed capacity. So if we can manage your capacity and fill it, not only will we have a more profitable, more prosperous business, but also we'll be able to scale and plan much better.
Yeah, so
So
good.
capacity is a big one. Sales, leads, and goals is the other one.
Okay, so if you're measuring 4 things on your dashboard, it's going to be those 4 things. And when I'm hearing about this, I'm like, man, I've already got the cost of House Call Pro, and now I've got to add another thing on top of it. Would you help me understand how this isn't actually an expense, but it's an investment, and I'm actually going to make more money as a result of having this tool inside of my tool belt?
Yeah, super fair question. Like at the end of the day, if something can't hold its weight on an ROI, return on investment basis, then you gotta think long and hard whether or not you should keep it, right? So um it's kind of to that point. If you can just tweak your business just even by 1 or 2 degrees, when you roll out months and years down the road, you potentially get to an entirely different destination. And, I've always been very mindful of that. Again, having been from the home service and trades niche, as well as having coached and conducted over 1,000 coaching calls, I'm not looking to like rape and pillage when it comes to our pricing model. So we're talking like a max plan of like $100. And with that, that's everything. I would also say there's kind of a separate side to that equation. Like I have 4 developers on staff. So like on the flip side, the converse perspective is like, what a time to be alive that you have the opportunity to latch onto a product that potentially could make you 10 or 20 or 50 or 80 extra $1,000 in a year for a mere $100 a month. Right. So there's kind of 2 ways to perceive it.
Okay, you've got me sniffing. I'm interested. I might. I think we're going to have to check it out for a
Yeah.
few months. Is it a year commitment? Is it month to
No, there's a free plan too. Like again, I'm not out to like go crazy with it. You get a 30-day free trial. Use the code early if you want, and then it's even going to discount the months after. And if you want to just downgrade and have a super cool dashboard for free in your office, by all means, come on board.
I love
So we
that.
have a free plan.
Is there, and I honestly don't know these answers, so I'm going to ask you a
Yeah.
question. Is there gamification on this board at all?
So we're just in the process of building out a sales commission handling module. So again, it's just taking all your House Call Pro and Jobber information, and then you get your salespeople totally handled. And there's a degree of gamification when you're talking about commissions. And then our plan in the future, we're already over 100 users of this product, and we just launched it a month or 2 ago. But our plan in the future is to gamify the various users or the companies inside of like a geographical or a national basis. So that's going to be a lot of fun too.
Is there any way of removing House Call Pro? Not that I want to. I love House Call Pro, but is there a way of removing Jobber or Service Titan or a CRM and just utilizing Hourly IQ? And is there an AI option where you can like connect it to something in the future that might be coming out?
So the way we've structured this is it's basically like the backpack that goes on your CRM. And the gap of reporting where like, are you kidding me? You're giving me a CSV, not even like a colorful report. You're just giving me a CSV and I'm supposed to like come up with, the point of making a good decision based on this. Like we're trying to bridge that gap. So it's very colorful. It's mindful of, having been in the trenches, spelling out what's important and giving it to you in a very easy to follow manner is kind of what we're here to do with that product.
Awesome. We'll find out more information. I'll get you to share where people can go if they want to check it out. And
Yeah.
let's keep on going behind the logos behind you.
Yeah.
What's the next business that you've started or that you've scaled and sold?
Yeah, so this is a big one. This one's near and dear to my heart. This one's Ninja VA. So we do virtual assistant placements for the trades. And again, having lived through such a traumatic, horrific event that reminded me that like our time is in physical form on earth is limited here. Really, through the magic of virtual assistants, I'm on a mission to help 1,000 entrepreneurs to each save 1,000 hours of time. So we're talking like 1,000,000 hours of give back through the magic of virtual assistants. And again, we're trying to cater specifically to the home service and trades businesses because that's what I used to do. That's what I used to be. And I know what works and what doesn't work when it comes to bringing a virtual assistant on to buy back your time.
What are all the VAs that that are the most common that you see home service businesses bringing on?
Yeah. So I think where we're quickly moving to is it's going to be a systems implementer. And the systems could be either AI or it could be just this is what you need in your business to monitor your SEO results or get a feedback on how do we get a chatbot installed on our website or all of these bits and pieces that an entrepreneur or an owner just doesn't, they love the idea of just handing that off to a competent individual, right? So that's kind of where we're moving to. Specifically right now, a lot of our ecosystem use virtual assistants in like office manager type capacity, I would say. So all things admin, email, CRM, phone, follow-ups, quotes, invoices, collections, stuff like that, that nobody became an electrician or a plumber to do that stuff. And we can offload that at a very affordable rate by outsourcing to somebody in Mexico or the Philippines or Costa Rica.
Yeah, I used to have a mindset where it's like, everything has to stay in America. But I'm thinking, man, if I care about my neighbor or love my neighbor, it's not just, my neighbor on my street, but we have neighbors all across the globe that could utilize a job. And so
Yeah.
my brain has opened up to this idea because I used to bang on some Papa John's, being like, man, I called Papa John's and they got me, in the Philippines getting answered. And now I'm like, people in the Philippines need jobs too, so I'm more open to it than ever before.
Well, and just to double click on that, like I've had the opportunity of backpacking through the Philippines, and there's no more humbling experience than seeing or meeting individuals who are working like back-breaking work for literally $5 a day. So when we can come in as like a socially responsible and aware solution, and even if they're only making $5 to $7 an hour, like that is a multiple increase on what them and their family are taking home. And $7 an hour doesn't sound like a lot, but that's the equivalent of what a dentist makes in the Philippines. So those are the types of opportunities that we're providing there. And then locally, we're allowing entrepreneurs to get their time back and they can focus on the parts of the business that bring them energy versus leech their energy. So that's the exciting mission that we're on with Ninja VA.
That's so good. And it's also it's like someone that's willing to work versus someone that's not willing to work. Let's put people to work that want to work. I love that
Yes, sir.
conversation. Any other businesses that you've sold or started that you want to recommend that you've been a part of?
You know what? I'm an entrepreneur by nature. It runs in my blood. I mean, literally in my kindergarten recess, I brought rocks in from the playground and I sold them to my kindergarten teacher. So, like, if that doesn't give you a glimpse as to the way I'm wired, there's been a lot of businesses since then, but these are the ones that are kind of the focus for now.
Let's pretend for a second. Let's say that you have a couple of children. They're going to be getting a little bit older. We're
Yeah.
pretending, of course. And you're going to want to help them start a business in the trades. They really want to work. Which business or businesses are you going to encourage them to start and scale?
I don't think you have to necessarily point them to a specific business. What I found is being a serial entrepreneur, you're almost, when you're learning these skills and these abilities and gaining this experience, it's all applicable to your future journey. Like I literally used to have a fleet of lemonade and sunglass stands, and we'd attend like the largest outdoor show on earth, the largest rodeo in the world. And like we would hawk like gallons, hundreds of gallons of lemonade. And what was interesting is like that sounds super bizarre, super narrow, but I like took a lot of the learnings from hiring and managing a temporary workforce to like staffing to like efficiency and workflow modeling, and I took that to like my home service business. And then I took it to coaching, and then I've taken it to software. So as unrelated as those things sound, I think it's all about experience and building the skills and abilities that you can use for your future version of yourself.
No, I love that. I love that. And we could go 100 different ways. I want to try to close on this. So for me, I'm on mission to mobilize kingdom-minded entrepreneurs and Christian business owners. For someone that's thinking about starting a trades business, and you're going to get specific here, which would you, and let's say they have a good market, there's homes getting built up, they could probably choose anyone that they wanted to do. They haven't had any experience starting a business in the past. Which trades business would you say, hey, let's try this one?
I'm not going to give you a specific answer because I think it's going to fluctuate depending on where you're located. But I'm going to give you the process that I would follow. Okay. And it's kind of two main bullet points. You would keep your 9 to 5 and you would work from 5 to 9. Okay. So first and foremost, we don't want to burn the ships before we know we got a destination. From there, we're going to follow what's called minimum viable product, right? We're going to set up a website. We're going to get business cards. We're going to get a polo with our company logo, and we're going to go sell this thing that we haven't even started. And that's going to allow us the opportunity to dip our toes in the water to see what does local competition look like, how hard and how sensitive are the customers to please and to get to sign on the dotted line, how crowded are things, is there a need that ultimately we can fulfill? And, you know, for a few $100s nowadays, you could have all those things fully tested, and then you can gently start to ease into it, knowing full well that it's not research anymore. This is like real world experience. You know, there's promise on the other end of that equation.
And thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to give you final words, and I want you to specifically think about someone that was in your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They have a big why. They've had an experience in their past that's kind of motivating them to think about, man, I am not going to live here forever, and I want to have more time. How would you encourage them as we move off this call?
So I would say, as an entrepreneur, you get to decide and engineer what your narrative looks like. And that can be on the most responsive, putting out fires, most trivial, trapped in the trenches basis, or it can be long-term minded that will take some challenge and some strife and some focus to get there, but you could have it all, even if it's a quote unquote blue collar trade. We are blessed as entrepreneurs to be able to bear the world with the fruit of opportunity for our families, for ourselves, for our communities. And I don't think you should take that lightly. That is a tremendous responsibility, but it's only reality if you realize it and you execute on it. And with that, it takes some intentionality.
Yeah, so good. Basically, if you can dream it, you can do it.
Yes, sir.
And I believe that. How can people find out more about the businesses you've started, or maybe even test them out inside of their business?
Yeah, I actually have a personal website. So it's just brandonlazar.com. And all my projects that I'm currently working on are listed there. And if you want to connect, always happy to hop on a call and talk shop.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Brandon. All the value that you dropped, and I look forward to having you on again. And I want to have a conversation on AI from website, CRM, and marketing.
That sounds great. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
As promised, that was an incredible interview on a dude who started a side hustle and scaled it into a full-size business in the trades, where he's not only able to provide for himself, he's also able to provide for others. And as promised, I want to invite you to the top 20 trades that you can start inside of your city. Simply go to asyougo.network, sign in, and then sign up for Start and Scale a Side Hustle seminar. It's really more like a live event, but we'll end up having a conversation, and I'll show you what it takes to start and scale a different side hustle. We'll see you then.